Good afternoon, sir. Good, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so very good afternoon and welcome to this session. And I will request if you can switch on your cameras, that will be great. I hope you're able to see me. Great. So I will request all of you if you can switch on your cameras. Excellent. So maybe a short intro, maybe I will not take 10 minutes. If some of you volunteer and provide a small brief intro about yourself. Hello, students.
Hello, sir. My name is Srilakshmi N. I'm a MBA graduate, and I'm from Mysore.
Excellent. Thank you. And thank you for volunteering for the first participants. So any other person, any others you want to volunteer and give a brief intro about yourself?
Good afternoon, sir.
Very good afternoon. Yes, tell me.
My name is Sriram from Kundapur. Presently doing BC.
Very good. So others, you want to volunteer? I want this to be more interactive. So just volunteer and give some brief intro about yourself and what is your hobbies, maybe let others know. And we want to make it more interactive.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, good afternoon.
My name is Chetan, sir. I have completed BCA, sir, and I am from Mysore.
Very good. So Mysore is a beautiful city.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So others who want to volunteer?
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Myself, Dikshita R, sir. And I am studying engineering third year, CSE, and I'm from Bangalore.
Excellent. Maybe you can switch on your camera.
Yes, sir.
Great. So others who want to volunteer? So I'm seeing some of you are from basically with computer science background, let's see who are from other backgrounds also. So please switch on your camera and please give a brief intro about yourself.
Hi, sir. Myself, Prashant, basically from Bangalore.
Very good afternoon. So how
Yes,
is the
sir.
traffic today?
Anyway, today actually office off.
Okay, great.
So I mean, right now I'm in a home.
Okay. So any other person who want to give a brief intro? And just tell about yourself and what you're studying, and that will be, and also what is you're looking at in your future, whether you want to go in service or you want to be an entrepreneur or you want to in innovation or whatever you want to do. Just give a brief intro about that also. Yep. Yes. So meantime, the others are joining. So that's, I'm just waiting for others also to join. So keep on giving intro for maybe next another few minutes before we start. So any other want to volunteer?
Good afternoon, sir.
Very good afternoon.
It's my pleasure to introduce myself to you, sir. I'm Bhavani from Vaishali Computers, Ballari. I completed my BCom in computers, sir.
Very good. So you want to pursue something on finance also, or you want to go into more into computer?
Computers.
Okay, very good. But with financial background, there are a lot of opportunities we will discuss.
Okay.
And what are the things, the mega trends that are also happening around the world, around in India and globally, and what are the opportunities that come to all of you. Okay, so that I'm going to walk you through all those ideas also.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So others who want to volunteer?
Hello, sir. Myself, Uzma Kamar. If it is okay, if I do not switch on my camera,
That is
to
fine.
you like that?
Yeah, that is fine. But I will prefer people switch on their cameras so that at least we are not be in the real classroom, but at least we can have can see each other. Okay, no problem. Please go ahead. Yeah, please go ahead.
Sir, myself is Kamar. I'm from Raichur, Karnataka, and I'm not from the computer science or computer background. I have completed my studies in BSc, B.Ed. I'm a science student actually, but I want to know what are the opportunities for me if I attend this course, if I complete this course.
Very good. So that's why I just wanted to have a small intro. I'm seeing there are people from diverse fields, somebody from commerce background, from science, from computer science, right? So that is what I just wanted to understand. That is we can have a very interactive session. Thank you. Thank you for introducing yourself. So others who want to introduce, please volunteer. I'm saying a lot of people are joining, so that they don't miss the initial introduction of our session. So I think few more minutes we will walk through, but later on I will request you, please be on time, right? So others who want to volunteer?
Hello, sir. Good afternoon.
A very good afternoon.
I'm Aisha. Actually, I'm in bus right now, so I cannot switch on my camera.
Problem. No problem.
So myself, Aisha, and I'm from BCom. I'm a BCom graduate.
Okay, good. So we will take some case studies on finance also, so that it will be more interesting and how it can be applicable to basically the IT field. Okay, and what are the opportunities like some of you who are coming from the finance background. Great. Thank you. So any other person who want to introduce?
Hello, sir.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. Myself, Fullas from Shumaga.
Yes. Shumaga is a very nice place.
Sir.
Yeah,
and I'm studying computer science engineering first year, sir. First sem.
Okay, great. Good. So others who want to introduce?
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, tell me.
Sir, I am Kaivala from Clinic Sobli. Recently, I have joined this course before 2-3 days.
Okay, so welcome to this course.
Thank you, sir.
So which subject you are studying? currently? In which field? You're in science or you're in commerce?
Sir, I have recently completed my diploma from E&C department.
Okay, good.
Thank you, sir.
So I've got two more person to introduce. So who want to, two other people who want to volunteer?
So sorry, sir, I didn't understand your questions.
And then I'm asking, there are two more people. Thank you. So I want other two students to introduce. So
hello.
Before we start our session. Yeah.
Hello, sir. Good afternoon.
Very good afternoon.
Sir, I'm Muhammad Sadiq, pursuing my final year BA with HLE as my combination in Sahyadri Arts College, Shivamogga.
Okay, excellent.
Thank you.
Very good afternoon. So I want another person or another student, please introduce yourself before we start our session. Because I'm seeing a lot of people are joining, still joining, but next classes onwards, I will request all of you to be on time. Yep. So who want to introduce?
Hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hello. Hello, sir. Good afternoon. Myself, Triveni. I'm from Haveri. Hello.
Yes, good afternoon. I'm listening. Yeah, tell me. So which subject you are doing currently, what you are, and what is your looking forward in the future?
I'm completed BSc Computer Science, sir.
Okay, excellent.
Okay.
Okay, great. So now how I'm going to take you through, because you're from multiple fields, and that is a very good thing. And you're from diverse also regions and with diverse background, right? Here in our discussion, what we're going to do is basically we'll touch base some of the very, very interesting topics. We are going to talk about what are the trends, mega trends that are happening around the world, and how that will basically affect in your future career. Maybe some of you are going to go for services. Maybe some of you want to be an entrepreneur, or some of you want to pursue further on studies or want to do in innovation or research, right? There are a lot of opportunities, and as you know, we will go some of them, and you can then decide what are the fields or what are the things that motivates you and interesting you find yourself, and you can follow those. Basically, you have to follow your passion. When you follow your passion, whatever difficulty comes, it will be very, very easy to go ahead and do a wonder on that. Okay, so let me share my screen, and please let me know once you're able to see my screen. So I hope you're able to see my screen.
Yes, sir.
Excellent. So my name is Sabyasachi Banerjee. So I have studied in multiple colleges. I'm basically a qualified accountant. I have studied in University of Cambridge, done strategic management, studied in University of Baden-Württemberg in Germany. I've studied in IIM Calcutta. I have done basically into multiple courses I've also taken, and what I'm going to walk you through today is basically regarding the Industry 4.0. Now, you can ask, what is Industry 4.0? So I want some volunteers, and if you can share your screen, or maybe basically tell me what is Industry 4.0, what you understand. You can come online. I will request you to have your camera on and let me know what you understand by Industry 4.0. Why we starting with Industry 4.0? So what you understand? Any volunteers? Okay. I hope all of you are able to see my screen and able to hear me.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So what happens is that almost in 1770, till then, people used to basically do agriculture, hunting, or some kind of work. But as such, the industrialization has not started. With the invent of steam engine, the mechanized water power, right? The first industrialization started. people started from working with hand, moving into the machines, and from the farms, they move into factories. The first industrialization started, that is called Industry 1. After almost 100 years, when the electricity was arrived, then the industrialization, the Industry 2.0 started. At that time, what you can see is the mass production, the assembly line, you can automation and start of factories, right? So in case of 1870, you will find almost that time, almost after 100 years, a lot of factories set up and lot of industries that came. The cotton textile industries, slowly you will find the automobile industry, right? The Ford and others all came into the assembly line and automation started on that. Almost after 100 years, right? Almost in 1970, when the computer arrived, the computer and automation started, right? The computer, what it did, it automated the work and electronics in it. So from the automation, it became more electronics, chips and other things started coming in, and more of that called the Industry 3.0. What is Industry 4.0? It is basically, once you have the smart interconnected systems, like the machine talking to each other, that is what the Industry 4.0, where we are at this moment. Of course, you can see it's an extension of Industry 3.0, that is basically invent of the computer. Right? So this is basically the introduction of, so as you can see, Industry 4.0 is the buzzword now that is running around the world, and that is transforming all the industry. And Industry 4.0 is what? It's a smart factory with connected machines and intelligent robots. Now, for example, if you go and see now, hope all of you are using Swiggy, or you're using, for example, Big Basket or Amazon, how it is done. For example, if you go to the industry, take into the automobiles industry, right? All are interconnected. When you place an order, for example, if you place an order for a car, right? It has got multiple spare parts. Then basically it need to get those spare parts, get into the factory, get it assembled, and those cars need to be then delivered to the basically warehouse, and from warehouse to your selling point, and from there you get the car to your home. Next is that, for example, if you want to go to the take for a shipping industry. Now, whenever the ship that is coming into the deep sea, coming to the port, already it is interconnected with basically the port regarding the goods, what kind of the goods, where the warehouse it has to be kept, whether there is a storage place in that warehouse or not. Based on that, already the interaction is happening. And based on that, once the ship comes, because if you see in the shipping industry also, you've got very, very limited time, right? And based on that, whatever the goods the ship is carrying, it will be deported into the port, and that it will go to the warehouse, and from there, who has ordered it, it will go down and to the factories, right? If you go to the airline industry, right, what is happening? Based on that, now you've seen, based on the tickets, right? If you purchase, it is basically depending on the demand, which are the seats which are available. Automatically, you can just go and check and book it. How this is all interconnected. Right? So this is basically is the invent and start of basically industrialization that is happening. Now, Industry 4.0, if you see, it has got multiple areas. It has got autonomous system, the programs, machinery, and robots to cut and work automatically. It has got cloud computing, right? Use remote servers to store, manage, process data for faster process. Additive manufacturing, digital 3D design, data design in layers by multiple, how it will be work, and using the 3D, how it can benefit the industry. Augmented reality, I think some of you have already played Pokemon and you have seen the experience of that. And you have got virtual reality also, you have seen, based on that, lot of movies you have seen how you can see the effect of that. Next is the big data. It can determine further action in process, right? Big data, I think some of you can go into that line also. It basically analytics of huge data that is getting generated in the Industry 4.0 and with around the world, right? And it can be structured data, it can be both unstructured data. And big data analytics also leads to intelligent business moves and more effective operations, right? Where basically with the effective operations where you can have higher profits and increase customer satisfaction. And it can be used to predict future events, and it can foresee risk and reduce the dependencies, or basically based on what are the future events that are happening. And it can be based on your past data, or basically the data that is there into your data lakes. Maybe some of you who are not from the computer science background, you can ask anytime any questions, or from the computer science background also you can ask me anytime any questions, because I just wanted to give you a high perspective on basically what we are and why Industry 4.0 is very, very important. Just to let you know, almost the companies is going to spend $3.7 trillion by 2025 in Industry 4.0. So you can understand this is going to be the one of the future market, and where a lot of technologies are there. Of course, AI is there, machine learning, deep learning, cognitive learning, natural process learning, all those things are going to be part of this. And we are going to go one by one, and just to give you a high level idea, and I'm going to come with the examples and what are the trends, mega trends happening around the world, and how you can get benefited into that. Any question till now? Hello, students?
No, sir.
No, sir.
So what happens? The big data also helps you identify the new market, expand into the niche market, and tap into the customer bases for the faster customer intimacy and improve profit margin by reducing the waste and increasing the productivity. So as you can see, there are basically, these are the subsets, or basically some of the things, the Industry 4.0. Now, one of the more important thing is that some of you might think that everywhere the security is safe, like cyber security, right? Now, not only it protects from the manufacturer from the vast valuable data storage, it is there. Now, if you can think of the cyber security, now take for an example in Maharashtra for a few days or some of the hours, there was no power at all. There was a major cyber attack happened into the power grid, and basically the system was not working. Now, if you take, for example, what has happened during the war, Russia and the Ukraine. Before the war started, actually the whole Ukraine systems were hacked, and basically there was a major cyber attack happened, and with that, after the war started. So you can see, for any country also, the cyber security is very, very important. For any company, the cyber security is very, very important, because if somebody takes away those information or the data for that company, it becomes very, very difficult to manage. There are, for example, if you must be drinking Coca-Cola, Pepsi, right? All those technologies highly guarded. Just for an example, if somebody goes and take the technology of manufacturing of the Coca-Cola, what are the mixture, what are the component that is there into that, right? Then they can start manufacturing of it. So one has to basically safeguard all the information that is within that company. Of course, last but not the least, the Internet of Things, right? That connect to basically to machine, and that is where we have got the IoT everywhere, right? So now Internet of Things, or IoT, is influencing our lifestyles from the way we react to the way we behave. Now, we are talking to each other within this class. It is basically based on the IoT, the mobile phone you are using. That is basically one of the, if you can see, the IoT or the Internet of Things, right? So any question before we move on to the next slide? Any question in Industry 4.0, your understanding?
Sir, are we already in Industry 4.0 revolution, or still we need to begin?
Now, we are already there in this journey, right? We are already there, right? That is why I just wanted to let you know. Already the Industry 4.0, we are there, and the market is huge. And all the industry, if you see, are trying to move more into the Industry 4.0. Otherwise, what will happen? They will be left behind. And you have seen how the sunset of industries has happened. Now, if you don't react fast to the customer expectation, what will happen? People will stop buying from you. The people will basically, if people don't use your product or your services, automatically it will go for a bankrupt. Isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So what is?
So what if there is a jam in the the data or any other thing happens? The data might interject with the other data and might collapse. In that situation, what does the company or the organization do to overlap that?
Okay. In fact, as you know, we are moving into 5G. Maybe I will later on in one of the session I will talk about 5G, but already we are into 4G, and the equipment is getting. So regarding the data, right? There are basically, we are using fiber optics, and basically the data is much faster nowadays. And there are, though data latency is there, and which with the 5G invent, it will be basically much reduced. Now, if the data is there is any issue from the transaction from point A to point B, they're happening, which is basically nowadays very less. But of course, that is why there are multiple tools and monitoring that are done continuously in any organization to check whether there is any fallouts or not. Now, maybe I will explain to you when I go for how it is working that is done in industry. What happens is that there are multiple monitoring tools which generally check whether there is any kind of a fallouts, or if there is any fallouts, automatically it triggers kind of tickets, and basically the supporting team immediately jump into it and try to resolve it. And that is why you have got backups also, and periodically these backups are taken so that there is no major problem. And also, every industry will have a DR system, that is disaster recovery system. For example, there is a huge earthquake happens, or maybe kind of a, for example, there was a huge rain that happened in Chennai. Maybe some of you are maybe aware that happened a few years back. Some of the data centers were absolutely flooded. Or tsunami happened in Japan, right? Then what happens automatically is that is switched up, and there is a disaster recovery system, and that basically is activated so that there is not much loss in the data. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Great. So some of the underlying technologies of Industry 4.0 is the Internet of Things, that is smart machines. They are connected to the networks and talk to each other so that they can diagnose and the problems and can alert that something is going wrong, right? So this is what one of the most important things that Industry 4.0 is going to bring. Any question? So before we move on to the next slide, if you don't have any question, let me go to some examples of well, let's see a video then. I think you will be interested to see a video, what is Industry 4.0, and then we will move on to the next slide. Please let me know once you're able to see my screen.
What is Industry 4.0, and what does it mean for you? Technology is driving change across all areas of society. Not only do we increasingly use it and even rely on it in our personal lives, we also find our workplaces digitally evolving, with more and more processes now being undertaken using technology. This change is known as the Fourth Industrial Revolution, or Industry 4.0. Industry 4.0 will see many tasks that were once performed by us now being automated. With the collection and analysis of real-time data, artificial intelligence, and the ability for all components of a production line to talk to each other, production can be really efficient and personalized according to customer needs. But what does this mean for us? With increased automation, our time will be freed up for concentrating on more complex tasks. We will need a workforce who are capable of building, programming, and developing these technologies, but also making sure we are applying them to our lives in an ethical way.
Okay, so student, as you can see here, there will be huge number of people or the resources that will be required to work on the Industry 4.0. And I have given some of the areas or component in Industry 4.0. Of course, some of you may be interested in cybersecurity. Somebody of you may be interested in IoT, machine learning, deep learning, right? Some of you will be working on artificial intelligence. Somebody want to do in analytics, and you want to basically, whichever the subject you like, whatever is there, there is enormous opportunity.
Are core skills that we can offer that technology cannot replace.
Right? So there are multiple skills that will be required, as you can see. And for that, there is a huge change management is also required. And some of you want to go for that area also on consulting, on the process consulting, or onto the change management, because everybody is reluctant to change, right? If you go and maybe ask your grandparents or your parents to do in a different way, you will find them reluctant to do it because they have been doing it for so many years, right? Now, similarly for us also, now it's a difference, right? We used to always go to the schools or colleges where we used to meet the teachers face to face. But with this COVID coming in, right, it's become a more of a virtual world. And the digitalization has happened much, much more. Now, we had to adapt to that changes, right? So what happens is that similarly, when the industry has to go for more automated way or more process driven, right, there is some change that need to be done. And that also requires people who can make the people understand that is benefited for them also. So change management is another area for Industry 4.0 that also can be very, very important. For that, you need to know the technology or need to know the process.
The human touch is going to be incredibly important, ensuring effective communication, problem solving, and supporting change management in this digital environment. There will also be a greater need for joint working across disciplines, creating new innovations. The future.
Right. So what you can see is that though some people can say with this automation or Industry 4.0, there will be startup job, the computer will take up. Absolutely no. When you see when the computer came, right, people had the same kind of an opinion. But actually what has happened, that has opened door for hundreds and thousands and millions of jobs, right? And if you can see, the India has basically taken advantage of that, and we are basically one of the leaders into the IT industry.
The job market will be looking for graduates with an open mind to explore the unknown future possibilities. We will all need.
So as you can see that with whatever skills you are having, you need to basically continuously improve your skills, and based on that, the opportunities will be unlimited.
Need to develop our skills in order to embrace, adapt to this ever-changing environment. What will you?
Right. So now, any questions, students? If you don't have any questions, let us go to some theoretical aspect of AI, artificial intelligence. So can you please tell me what is AI or artificial intelligence and why it is quite important in nowadays? I want some volunteers. Or if you can just let me know what you understand by AI. See, the AI came into basically 1956 by, it was by Professor John C. Carthy, and in the conference in Dartmouth in UK, it talks about basically the AI. So you can see it's a long time back, the journey for AI has started. But of course, nowadays you see AI everywhere. So can you give me some examples on what you understand by AI? Hello, students.
Sir,
what do you
it,
understand?
it is mainly used for speech recognition, like whatever we tell.
Okay, so that is one example what you understand.
And
so,
then also it will translate, I mean, to different languages.
Okay.
So,
Any other volunteers?
According to me, AI is a kind of technology which resembles the human thinking and analyzing methods or
Very good. That
abilities.
mimics human behavior. Very good. Yeah. So like the traditional goals of AI research include reasoning, knowledge, representation, planning, learning, natural language processing, perceptions, ability to move and manipulate objects, right? So you have seen Alexa, you have seen Siri, right? You have seen ChatGPT. How many of you are using Alexa or ChatGPT?
Yes, sir, we are using it.
Isn't it? So isn't that all based on AI? I think all of you are using Facebook or some of the mobile phones. You're using your face recognition, right? For opening your mobile phone. So you want to keep it basically a mobile absolutely secret, huh? Right? So those are basically what recognition of your face. Is it what based on AI, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So you're using AI every time. Nowadays, everywhere using AI for anything you want to have basically for if, the banks also. You're not going to the banks, right? You're just maybe calling or chatting with chatbots, right? And they're providing all your answer. Isn't that part of AI?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So as you can see, it is basically everywhere what you are working is all basically part of the AI that is coming in, right? Now just go, some of you may not be from knowing the AI, just to give some definition. Those who are knowing, very good. But just to give a definition of AI, AI is nothing but it's an artificial intelligence, and it is intelligence demonstrated by machines, right? The AI research has been defined as the fields of study of intelligent agents, which refers to any systems that perceives its environment and takes actions that maximizes its chance of achieving the goals. The terms artificial intelligence had previously been used to describe machines that mimic and display human cognitive skills that are associated with the human minds, such as learning and problem solving. Now, some of you have seen, right, some of the problems that you have given. For example, you want to play chess on a computer, right? You make a move, the computer makes some moves, right? So that is basically some of the algorithms and logic built into that. And based on the artificial intelligence, it is making those moves, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
If you go and see a Tesla car. So when I was in Paris, I rode a Tesla car. Basically, it was, of course, driver was there. It was not a driverless car, I will say. But there are a lot of things that the car was doing, right? And it is basically... hello. If you are not speaking, can you be in mute, please? Hello, you want to say something? Okay, so now if you see, these are basically the way basically helps us, the human beings, right? Now, for example, if you go to Google, you do a type, right? What Google does?
It searches for us.
It searches for you. How it is done? Based on your age, based on the location, based on what you have been typing, it stores those information, right? And then it predicts what you're looking at. And if you find what you are, for example, you are a sports lover, you want to have soccer, it will provide you, for example, if you write a ball, it will provide you what are happening on soccer. Maybe another, your friend who is interested, is on cricket, it will provide basically the information on cricket. So that is how the Google search engine works. It is also based on the AI. Excuse me, you're saying something, want to ask something? Hello, student. Okay, next I move on to the furthermore definitions. So AI researchers have adopted and integrated a wide range of problem-solving techniques, including research and mathematical optimization and formal logic and artificial neural networks and methods based on statistics, probability, and economics. So don't go those students who are not from basically science, don't worry. These are basically defined based on the logics, based on the basically probability and also algorithm, and it's complex algorithm that has been defined, so that based on those how the computer should work. And there are multiple data lakes that are created, and based on the data lake, the history is fed into that, and based on that basically the information is provided. Now, for example, if you go to chatbots, maybe for a banking or any this thing, if they have that information available into that database, then based on that they will be able to answer. If they don't have, then they will basically direct it to the phone banking officer, or basically to the person who will answer that. So that is how. Next, what happens based on the data, right? That basically the question has been asked and it is, the answer is not there. Then continuously those data need to fit into those computer or the chat, so that it becomes basically able to answer next time. So that is how the improvement, continuous improvement happens in a machine, and basically when they those are able to answer. Right. So next is basically AI also draws upon the computer science, psychology, linguistic, philosophy, and many other fields. The fields was founded on the assumptions that a human intelligence can be precisely described that machine can do to simulate it. So this is the high level definition. I know it's more of theory, but let's go to some videos where whatever our leaders are saying in the industry, so that this gives you a perspective, right? What basically the global heads or leaders are saying.
Google, Facebook, Apple, Microsoft are all moving ahead at a great speed in improving this artificial intelligence software. So it's very exciting. Software is going to solve that, where it'll look at all the new information and present to you, knowing about your interests, what would be most valuable. So making us more efficient.
We're focusing on what we've talked about on autonomous systems. And we sort of see it as the mother of all AI projects. So autonomy is something that's incredibly exciting for us. We'll see where it takes us.
Wouldn't it be wonderful if someday...
So do you know who is Warren Buffett is? Hello, students.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Well, who were they from the finance field? I thought they should be knowing it. He is one of the world's biggest investor, right? So if like, you know, Rakesh Jhunjhunwala in India, he used to be basically told as the one of the biggest investor and around the world. Warren Buffett is one of the biggest investor. I think his net asset is more than $85 billion. So he's one of the largest investor, and so you can see what he says also. He's not from the technology giants like the Apple or Microsoft, but he owns a huge asset portfolio.
We got to the point where there were robots every place. They were running farms, they were running Apple, they were running Berkshire Hathaway, and all you had to do was one person could punch a button at the start of every morning, and all the goods and services that we're getting now would be turned out by robots.
It is seeping into our lives in all sorts of ways that we just don't notice. We're just getting better and better at it, and we're seeing that happen in every aspect of our lives, from medicine to transportation to how electricity is distributed. And it promises to create a vastly more productive and efficient economy. And if properly harnessed, can generate enormous prosperity for people, opportunity for people, can cure diseases that we haven't seen before, can make us safer because it eliminates inherent human error in a lot of work.
Artificial intelligence is going to be extremely helpful, and the risk that it gets super smart, that's way out in the future and probably worth talking about. But now what we're seeing is that for the first time, computers can see as well as humans. That's pretty incredible.
So I hope all of you know Elon Musk, right? So he has been doing some of the wonderful things which people been after thought also, right? So what he says, let's see.
The study on Tesla's Autopilot version 1, which is relatively primitive, and found that it was a 45% reduction in highway accidents. And that's despite Autopilot 1 being just version 1. Version 2, I think, will be at least 2 or 3 times better. That's the current version that's running right now. So the rate of improvement is really dramatic. We have to figure out some way to ensure that the advent of digital superintelligence is one which is symbiotic with humanity.
So I hope some of you are aware that one of the experiments that is going on, which Elon Musk is doing, basically putting chips into the human, right? So you can say cybernauts maybe, where you will have because human brain though has got a knowledge, but it's basically very, very difficult to get the output immediately, right? Now, if you can think of a human with basically having, it says one of the world's biggest library in the world is the Moscow library, or basically the library in New York. So if a chip can store so much of knowledge, and whenever asked, it can just populate the answers, right? Basically do some of the analysis based on that and provide, right? So you can see how powerful a human can be. So he's already started that experiment. For example, you don't have to carry your money bag or basically credit card. You already have the chips in your hand. You just put the finger on the credit card machine, automatically the payment is done. So of course, it has got pros and cons. We can discuss later on. So some of the experiments he's doing, which we may not have think before also. And SpaceX is another experiment. Maybe some of you are already doing that. He want to send human to the space, right?
AI is probably the most important thing humanity has ever worked on. Now, I think of it as something more profound than electricity or fire. And anytime you work with technology, you need to learn to harness the benefits and while minimizing the downsides. Stepping back, when you think about, a lot of problems in the world, today it's because we typically have a constraint on resources. AI, for the first time, I think, over time, offers a different construct. Things which are constrained and look like a zero-sum game today may not be so in the future. Take education, for example. It's really difficult to educate people in a cost-effective way. AI may fundamentally change that equation. It may make it possible for us to have clean, cheap, renewable energy for the future. So I think a lot of things will play out in more positive ways than people think.
I think probably by end of next year, self-driving will encompass essentially all modes of driving and be at least 100 to 200% safer than a person by the end of next year. We're talking maybe 18 months from now.
So what do you think? AI will someday overcome us humans? Hello, students.
Yes, sir.
Maybe.
Yes, sir, it will.
Yes, sir, maybe.
Yes, sir.
So that is in the future, but not at this moment. So let's basically now go to our slide, right? So you have seen what are the world leaders have said, right? So as you can see, AI is very, very important, and AI is also part of the industry 4.0. So that is one of the component, right? Now, any question? So what you understand by AI before I go to the next slide or next video, where basically it will help you to understand how AI works. So students, any question? So what do you understand?
So basically, AI is a tool for the human ideology and thoughts to implement in our day-to-day life.
Okay, so you can say AI is the science of getting machines to mimic the behavior of humans, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So you heard
to interact with the machines also.
Yes, absolutely. So machine learning, right, is a subset of AI that focuses on getting the machines to make the decision by feeding them the data, right? The data that comes from so many areas, right? Yes. So again, deep learning is a subset of machine learning that uses the concept of neural networks to solve complex problems. So as you can see, AI subset is machine learning. Machine learning subset is deep learning, right? So AI, machine learning, and deep learning are interconnected fields, right? Using the machine learning and deep learning helps AI to provide by the set of algorithms. There are multiple algorithms, business logics, and neural networks to solve the data-driven problems. So that is how basically the AI works. So however, AI is not restricted to only machine learning and deep learning. It covers a vast domain and fields. Example, natural language processing, object detection. You have seen the object detection, how the Tesla car, when it moves, it does the object detection. How far is the object from the car, right? Then it wants to say whether it is a bicycle or a car or a truck. Based on that, it basically drives. Whether there is for example, there is a rock, or there is it's a moving, or a human, or some animal coming. So all those detection need to do, right? Next is computer vision, robotics, expert system, and so on. So this is basically some of the high definition of artificial intelligence and how it works. Let's go to the video so that it makes you more interesting, isn't it?
Data engineering is surfacing to be one of the most responsible roles. Data engineering.
Let me not go to the video. Let me go to the directly into the. I think. Okay.
Engineers are bridging the gap between.
Picture this, a machine that could organize your cupboard just as you like it, or serve every member of the house a customized cup of coffee. Makes your day easier, doesn't it? These are the products of artificial intelligence. But why use the term artificial intelligence? Well, these machines are artificially incorporated with human-like intelligence to perform tasks as we do. This intelligence is built using complex algorithms and mathematical functions. But AI may not be as obvious as in the previous examples. In fact, AI is used in smartphones, cars, social media feeds, video games, banking, surveillance, and many other aspects of our daily life.
So as you can see, AI has been used in so many things, right? For example, the surveillance machines, right? So when you go to any office, anywhere, you go to metro station in Bangalore or anywhere in the railway station, airport, the surveillance is done. Now, just to give you an example, if you go to an airport, right, what it does based on your facial expression, based on basically your movement, it basically fits in whether the person has got some criminal thought process or some terrorist activities or not, or they will have pictures of the terrorists or basically criminals, right? And based on that, they will try to match whether no criminal or terrorist is there inside the airport. Now, all those things helps. Now, it is humanly, it is not at all possible to do all those things, right? So here, basically, AI plays a very, very important role. For example, Google AI, basically, that is one of the eye doctor can examine and the rare scans and identify a condition called diabetic retinopathy, which causes blindness. Now, with this, they will be able to help the patients if they have this kind of an issue or a problem and identify that, which humanly it becomes very, very difficult. In case of social media like Facebook, AI is used for face verification, right? Where the machine, using the machine learning, deep learning concept are used to detect the facial features that you can also tag it to your friends, isn't it? Now, I know some of you are from the finance background. Now, just to let you know, there is JP Morgan Chase. They create an AI basically platform. Using that, they have got basically the contracts, right? More than 10,000 contracts, multiple huge number, millions of pages. They want to basically check if there are any errors, or basically they want to the legal documents to extract the data point and basically the clauses. And it can, the AI, using the AI, they can in a matter of seconds and manually removing basically so many errors that would have been there, right? Now, it would have taken almost more than 35,000 hours to do this if it has to be done manually. with AI, it can be done in matter of some seconds or minutes, right? So you can see the importance and how basically AI is coming to everyday's life and saving so much of basically hours and basically helping the industry to move forward. If you know regarding the healthcare, if you must have heard of the IBM Watson, the IBM has developed that, and it's an AI software that's basically developed for the pharmaceutical and medicine companies, and more than 230 healthcare organizations worldwide are already using this IBM Watson technology, right? For example, in 2016, IBM Watson technology was enabled to cross-reference more than 20 million oncology records and correctly diagnose a rare leukemia condition in a patient. So you can see some of the advantage how AI has been used in different world and help our day-to-day life also. Okay.
The real question is, what does an AI do at its core? Here is a robot we built in our lab, which is now dropped onto a field. In spite of a variation in lighting, landscape, and dimensions of the field, the AI robot must perform as expected. This ability to react appropriately to a new situation is called generalized learning. The robot is now at a crossroad, one that is paved and the other rocky. The robot must determine which path to take based on the circumstances. This portrays the robot's reasoning ability. After a short stroll, the robot now encounters a stream that it cannot swim across. Using the plank provided as an input, the robot is able to cross this stream. So, our robot uses the given input and finds the solution for a problem. This is problem solving.
So, as you can see, generally artificial intelligence is divided into three. One is generalized learning, reasoning, and problem solving. Any question, students?
No.
These three capabilities make the robot artificially intelligent. In short, AI provides machines with the capability to adapt, reason, and provide solutions. Well, now that we know what AI is, let's have a look at the two broad categories an AI is classified into. Weak AI, also called narrow AI, focuses solely on one task. For example, AlphaGo.
So now, for example, you have played some chess or some card games in your mobile laptop, right? Or your desktops. Now, if you play, as I told you, one move, also the computer also plays another move. That is basically based on the artificial intelligence, and that is, of course, based on the weak AI.
Is a maestro of the game Go, but you can't expect it to be even remotely good at chess. This makes AlphaGo a weak AI. You might say Alexa is definitely not a weak AI, since it can perform multiple tasks. Well, that's not really true. When you ask Alexa to play Despacito, it picks up the keywords play and Despacito, and runs a program it is trained to.
So tell me, students, the Google search, it's a basically weak AI or strong AI?
Strong AI, sir.
It's a weak AI.
Alexa cannot respond to a question it isn't trained to answer. For instance, try asking Alexa the status of traffic from work to home. Alexa cannot provide you this information, as she is not trained to. And that brings us to our second category of AI, strong AI. Now, this is much like the robots that only exist in fiction as of now. Ultron from Avengers is an ideal example of a strong AI. That's because it's self-aware and eventually even develops emotions. This makes the AI's response unpredictable. You must be wondering, well, how is artificial intelligence different from machine learning and deep learning? We saw what AI is. Machine learning is a technique to achieve AI.
So why you have not asked me why it is a weak AI? Because Google basically based on the information provided by us, or basically the search that is there in the storage or the data lake. Now, if anything new comes up, it doesn't have the capability to do and predict what is required, right? So that is why it is basically a weak AI. Now, before we go into the machine learning and deep learning, just this thing. Now, what happens is that maybe some of you have seen when you go and work inside a mall, suddenly when you see some of the discounts pops up in your mobile phone. How it is done based on the localization, which area you are there, which is the mall you have gone. It detect that based on your purchasing, what you have done before, and based on that, it basically populates. These are the items that you may be looking, and based on that, what are the best discounts. More often, what I've seen when I was basically in Germany, when I walk into a mall, if I go to that section, automatically what are the discounts, what is there, I can see it get populated in my mobile. So actually what is happening, it detects which section of the mall I am there, and based on that, it populates a kind of a list of discounts, and based on that, whether I'm interested to buy that. So actually you can see how an artificial intelligence can help you or the purchasers or the customers to determine what kind of product they want to buy and what is the best discount available also. Right? Let's see this, and then I will give you another example.
And deep learning, in turn, is a subset of machine learning. Machine learning provides a machine with the capability to learn from data and experience through algorithms. Deep learning does this learning through ways inspired by the human brain. This means through deep learning, data and patterns can be better perceived. Ray Kurzweil, a well-known futurist, predicts that by the year 2045, we would have robots as smart as humans. This is called the point of singularity. Well, that's not all. In fact, Elon Musk predicts that the human mind and body will be enhanced by AI implants, which would make us partly.
So this is what I was talking about. Elon Musk is already working on this. So there are basically both pros and cons that we are not discussing in this session, but just to understand.
Cyborgs. So here's a question for you. Which of the
So let's go to the next this thing, our slides. Now coming to, we have covered the AI. Now if you have got any questions, please let me know. Any questions? Hello students, any questions you have got?
No, sir.
Okay. Now let me give you another example, right? Now you must have heard of Walmart. That is one of the world's biggest, you can say, retail chain that is happening in the world, right? So a huge, more than $200 billion of revenue. Now they basically tied up with Procter & Gamble. So what Procter & Gamble is, as you know, that is another CPG company where basically we have seen a lot of, you must be buying a lot of Procter & Gamble products also, maybe you have used it also. So what they've given, they have given basically cells into one section of the Walmart, and they've asked basically Procter & Gamble to manage it. So what Procter & Gamble has done, there will be thousands of Walmart stores around the world or USA. So what they have done is that they have got basically using the sensors, they find it out which are basically the products are fast moving or which are the cells getting empty. And based on that, from the central warehouse, they're going to send those materials to those stores, right? So what is happening? Walmart doesn't have the headache of managing the inventory of Procter & Gamble. Procter & Gamble basically knows which of the products are moving fast, and based on that, they will basically ship those materials to those stores. In turn, they know which are the materials, right, they need to manufacture, and which are the regions or areas which basically the consumption is the highest. And based on that, they can do the shipment, right? So you can see how it is working now. So automatically, what happens? Walmart doesn't have to order. That ordering or the basically replacement of the shelves is already taken by Procter & Gamble. Using the sensors, they know how much of basically products that is required, in what quantity, and which are the products. Automatically, it will be sent from the warehouse, and to the warehouse automatically from the manufacturing plant, it will be sent based on the regions that is the demand is required. So there is, as you can see, a whole chain of activities that is happening, isn't it?
Yes,
Hello,
sir.
students. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think some of you must be knowing that nowadays with the SAP, the system or the systems that are there, like SAP, Oracle, Microsoft, right? There are ERPs. So basically it get interconnected from your, basically, if you're manufacturing, then basically what happens, it checks whether my material is there into my stock. If it is not there in the stock, then what will it do? It will basically, I need to order. Now for that, what happens when a customer, for example, gives an order, right? For example, you take Dell laptops. It can be basically make to stock or make to order. What do you mean by make to stock? Or that means you can go and pick it up from your basically store. You don't, there is no customized for you, personalized customer. Make to order means you want this RAM, I want this functionality, I want this, that functionality, that is would be called make to order, right? So what happens? The customer, so the factory or the company gets an order from the, either it's make to stock or make to order. And based on that, what it will do, if you need to manufacture, it will go and basically create a purchase requisition. And if it goes for a, it will go for a requisition, production requisition, and the production requisition MRP run happens, and it will check within the stock that material is there or not. If it is not there, then it basically create a purchase requisition, purchase order, and send it to the vendor. Then basically the vendor sends that material to basically the company. Then basically you have the GRIR happens and it comes to the inventory. Now, what happens if we done the whole automation of that process? Then your time consumption for everything will be much, much less. You have got to basically order level, you have got minimum level. So all those things also set up into your stores. Then what happens once it will be issued to production, the production happens, it is produced, it is sent to the customer, and basically the customer pays you. Then basically who are from the finance, they know it becomes an account receivable, and then you have to knock up the basically your invoices, account receivable balances, and basically then after that you have your profit and loss balance sheet and everything, right? So you have the cash flow statement. You have to, again, based on the whole cycle goes on and on. Just imagine each and everything, whatever the process. If you know, for example, you have got a truck that is running, right? If you know, for example, they have got any malfunctioning in the truck or anything that is happening, any issues in that, if it can be predicted before and it can be analyzed and it can be resolved, what will happen? You will save basically the time, and also you will not lose in your basically the time for commuting from your place to another place for the truck, because you have already taken care. For example, if you can take another scenario, right, where you are basically, you have got a your AC, for example, right? You have know that after maybe you have a census that this is the temperature is not working or there is some issue. Automatically, what you can do, you can basically send the service engineer, get it rectified. So the person who is enjoying the AC will not have any problem, and there will be a lot of customer satisfaction, right? Now, for similarly, I will just share and show a video to you where basically you can see how nowadays around the world, how it is done. And of course, this has been based on the SAP platform that has been done. And I will also take you through the how in the other ERPs this is done. Let's just show you. Please let me know once you're able to see my screen.
What if you could anticipate failures before they occur? Proactively order spare parts. Schedule the work of your maintenance engineers. In a competitive world, manufacturers must deliver highly reliable products. For this truck, can we avoid failures while minimizing maintenance impact? Let's equip the truck with secure devices such as cameras, image recognition technologies, and temperature sensors. Data is consolidated, processed, and pre-selected near the source to minimize network latency and overload. Truck data is then analyzed by SAP Leonardo. The dangerous abrasion of a tire triggers an automated alert. A new spare part is automatically ordered via SAP Ariba. The nearest technician is mobilized to replace the failing tire. Throughout, he receives assistance using augmented reality glasses or the chatbot in SAP Digital Assistant. A remote supervisor can see the changes in real time. By combining historical and forecast data, we can also predict natural events to avoid vehicle damage. In case of snow, you will know which trucks are not authorized to operate without adequate equipment. Managing millions of connected devices in a complex IoT environment can be challenging. That is why
Okay. So you can see here, right? Hello, students.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So this is an example how it works, right? Now, there are basically connected devices that are there. For example, you must be aware that the tires, for example, it is after whether it is run 5,000 kilometers or 10,000 kilometers, automatically what happens, it can trigger to the tire manufacturer and they can say that this is the time your replacement of a tire is required. Why it is done? Because it helps and safeguard for any accidents. In case of aeroplane, right? Or there are spare parts or basically tires, right? If there any wear and tear happens, a small basically issue can basically create a huge accident and the life of the person will be endangered. You have seen how basically the wars has now changed, right? It is basically now the era where we have seen basically the drones or basically the IoT, or basically you have seen the more of humanless devices are taking part, isn't it, students?
Yes, sir.
So the olden days, it used to be, if you see the World War I or World War II, it used to be the ages where people used to fight with each other. But nowadays, it is basically the drones using the artificial intelligence. They're able to detect the enemies and they're firing the missiles to them. You have seen the Azerbaijan-Armenia war, right? How Azerbaijan defeated Armenia using the drones that taken from Turkey, right? And that also shown basically how the current, basically the wars that going to be defined in future. You have seen in the Russia and Ukraine, right? The war, also different kind of drones. A few days back, there was a USA drone that was basically taken down in the Black Sea. And of course, the relationship between the US and Russia is at the very, very low level. You have seen basically unmanned balloon that are flying over from Chinese balloons, flying over USA, and USA F-22 go and basically shoot it down. So nowadays, people are basically using the drones, satellites as an eyes to see what is happening in the enemy countries or basically what is happening around the world. You have also seen what is basically happening, that any surveillance system, what it does, it basically has satellites or drones which take pictures and try to find out if there anything that is not appropriate or basically any issues are there. It can take actions before so that those things can be avoided. So all those things are basically based on your artificial intelligence and basically the data that are fed from the multiple IoT system connected to it, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So as you can see in this journey, it will be very, very interesting. And basically, as I told you, the scope is unlimited. So don't worry from which field you are coming from, right? So it's going to be very, very interesting journey. And basically industry looks for basically intelligent and smart students like you.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, you were saying something. Hello. Yeah. So there are enormous scope, and for which you need to basically study. You need to continuously improve yourself and learn basically what is happening, and that is basically going to help you. Yeah, tell me. Yes, tell me.
So recently I have saw one post that AI is failed to solve UPSC papers. So I want to know about that. What is the real future, like AI or UPSC?
Sorry, your voice was breaking. Can you please repeat?
Recently I have saw in social media that AI is failed to solve UPSC papers. So
Yeah,
I want
that
to
is
know
chat
about
GPT. Yeah, that is using the chat GPT. There was a discussion, right? So don't go by those things. If the chat GPT does apply for somebody's behalf and do the exam, right? It will be the chat GPT's continuous improvement will happen, because some of the questions they will not able to answer. Then some teachers will try to put some basically scientists will going to put those answers into the data lake, and then it will be able to answer. But as a student, it will not help, right? So as a student, you need to do a continuous improvement of yourself so that you can create a chat GPT yourselves, right? Along with your team, and not depend on the chat GPT. So that is what one need to look into. Of course, you need to, when you are working in a company or industry, what happens is that you need basically some of the information that are spread around multiple sources, right? If you have, for example, some kind of a chat GPT, or basically what we call systems which helps and gather the information and provide the information in the very, very short time. It is basically the search engine, right? Those search engines are also basically triggered by or powered by the AI. And that really helps you to provide whatever information looking at much, much faster. Every company nowadays has their own search engine, and they're trying to do it. But that is for benefiting basically to replying it first, not for answering in an exam, because that will, as a student, that will not help you. Okay? I hope I answered your question.
Yes, sir. Okay, thank you.
Okay, great. So let's move on to the next. This is basically some of the examples of AI. I think we have already done when we were talking. One is basically the AI applications that has been used in the Google. Next is basically, for example, you are watching your YouTubes. Now, based on your search history or what happens, it basically provides you those kind of movies or those kind of videos that basically you like. For example, as I told you, if somebody is interested in soccer, it will basically try to provide basically those soccer videos that have been he has been seeing. Or somebody is basically looking into adventure sports, it can provide into those adventure sports. Similarly, in case of Amazon, if you see, based on your past history, based on what you have been purchasing, or you have been searches that you have done, whether you have purchased it or not, it basically provides those searches or those products initially, and based on that, it helps you to buy those products, right? Similarly, in Netflix also.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, tell me.
Sir, can you give me an example for the strong AI? Like
Yes.
For the weak AI, they are Alexa, Google, and all. Oh, can you give me an example for the strong AI?
Yeah, strong AI currently basically you have seen in the movies, right? That basically that it does more than the human beings, right? But currently, if you see, those things are under research. Of course, you have the supercomputers, where it does some kind of a weather forecasting, or some kind of where it does kind of this thing, but those are still in the initial stages. Or if you see, those research are going on, but string that people have started developing, but still that is basically in the future that will come up. Of course, you can say that when you create those kind of supercomputers, right, whether it does a weather forecasting, or it does kind of a prediction of your stock market this thing. But as you can see in the stock markets also, what script will come, will rise or it will come down. There's so many permutation combinations, and still it's not able to predict, right? So it is basically in future we will look into the strong AI, but at this moment, still a lot of research is going on.
Okay,
right?
thank you.
Because in the self-driving cars, Tesla also, now you have seen there, he's basically a Tesla hit a person and the person died. So of course there is a case is going on whether it should be filed if a driverless car, then who should it be filed? So for example, in India, Tesla is driverless car is not permitted, right? So there are a lot of rules and regulation also need to be changed. And of course, if you are in Bangalore, if you go basically some of the places, you see a huge traffic, right? Now, if you go to, for example, Whitefield during the office hours, or some of the areas like maybe if you go to Majestic during the office hours, or this traffic can be coming from everywhere. So still, basically, like a car like Tesla need to work on those areas and see that there is no accident happening. Maybe when you, for example, if you go to USA, there is always, the roads are quite big and large, so and huge. So people follow the rules and regulations, right? And there is a gap between each cars is quite a good distance. So, and where basically this kind of driverless car can be more suitable. But if you go to Paris, the roads are very, very narrow and this thing. So if you have a driverless car, it will be very, very difficult. For example, people will be occupying half of the street, and will be you will see chairs and tables and chairs where people, the restaurants, they have occupied. So people will be eating in the streets. It will be very difficult. But if you go to Germany, you've got autobahns where there is no restriction on the speed. It can travel at any speed, right? So, where, of course, this can be much, much better. But still, we have seen that people prefers for those highways not to drive in driverless cars because it speeds around 350 kilometers or 400 kilometers per hour, right? So the driver can make much better. But of course, you have seen when you have seen in the Japan when the Olympics happens, the participants or the players who are coming from the airport to the Olympics, basically where they were staying, right? And they were driven by basically the driverless cars, and it was absolutely automated. And they was absolutely flawless. They didn't happen any accident, nothing. So of course, the technology is coming up, and we will see a lot of them. Right? So any questions?
Yes, sir. Sir,
Yes,
can we
tell me.
consider the human-made robot, that is Sophia, which got recently a citizenship of Dubai? Sir, can we consider that as a strong AI or a great initiation for the strong AI?
Still, we will consider it's a weak AI, right? Because still it doesn't have the emotions. If you have to have a strong AI, you need to work as like a human, and you have to have the emotions, right? So that's why I'm saying Sophia is a good example. It is basically more than the weak AI, but still, we cannot talk it as a tell it as a strong AI. Of course, it is moving towards that level. It's a very good example here, brought it.
Okay, sir.
Right? Okay. So some of the goals of AI you can see is reasoning, problem solving, knowledge representation, planning, automated planning and scheduling, learning, machine learning, right? Natural language processing, the perceptions, the machine perception, use of senses, computer visions, right? Ability to analyze visual inputs, speech recognition, facial recognition, and object recognition. So using that, of course, lot of basically automations is possible. I can give you an example. That's a good example. When I was in Parangon, I was basically the robot who was in front of me was mimicking whatever the actions I was doing, right? So those are basically how it does. It basically does the recognition, right, of the object. It takes me as an object. It takes my reaction and this thing, and based on that, it is reacting. So that is based on the AI and based on your machine learning, what is able to do it, and it is able to mimic. Similarly, for example, the algorithm or logic that is fitted into those machines, it able to basically react and basically provides the inputs. Any questions?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay, so this is another very big, because I know all of you are into the social world, right? So in the social intelligence, recognize, interpret, process, and simulate human feelings and emotions and more. So can you tell me some of the good things about the AI and some of the things that is the social media provides to the humans? So I want some volunteers, if you can just give me your thought process.
So connecting to the peoples of the different region or countries.
Yeah,
is one of.
Yeah, you can come on the cameras and you can switch on your camera and you can say. So let me see some of you and your what you think through. See, you have seen in the social media has got some positive things, and also you have seen it has got negativity. The good thing is that it connects, as you correctly said, with your friends. You can basically using the face recognition, you can basically tag your friend into this. But some of the things that are not great into the social media, can you give me an example?
Sir, can you repeat it?
What are the things that one needs to be aware, may be in social media, which are not good because of the technology that advancement that has happened? One need to be aware of.
Yeah, sir. The one thing is the scams and the fake people.
Yes, absolutely correct. Maybe they
One
can
more
take
thing,
your
criminal cases. It's not right things to show in the social media.
We cannot be avoiding the social media also. For example, you need to be aware what information. That is why if you see the privacy levels are there, right? To the trusted friends, you can provide those, for example, your phone number, your address, your picture. So there are some scams that happens, taking your picture, maybe your, if somebody by mistake published their Aadhaar card or mobile number or passport number or something like that. There can be a cases where the basically a credit card fraud has happened or created a bank account and created basically a passport or fake basically Aadhaar card based on that, and a lot of criminal activities has happened. So those are basically using the social media. A lot of scams has happened, and also you have seen that in case of Uber, or in case of Ola, basically all the payment history, somebody has hacked it and taken it, right? You have seen in recently in HDFC Bank also, there are basically hackers came and hacked some of the informations, and based on that, what has happened, those information get leaks, and that can be used basically for malicious purposes. Also in your phones, you have seen a lot of scam call comes, right? This credit card, that credit card, or debit card, or this purchase, or this marketing. So where they're getting the information, they must have got the information from social media. They have taken mobile number or this thing, your name, and with your name, they're going to talk and say about it. So those are some of the things are also not great thing, but there are a lot of advantage one need to take care also. Right? Isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now, for example, you can see for using the drones, right? You have seen the benefit if it is in any remote places, right? Where there is medicines is required, you can use the drones, go and drop those medicines. Maybe during the flood, right? You can basically go and drop basically the food, medicines, or during the basically if there is an accident happens, using basically kind of your AI intelligence, you can directly talk to the doctor at remote places. You can have a video conference and he can provide you what need to be done, right? Automatically, if it is there is a nearby medical shop, it can pick those medicines and get it dropped to that person. Similarly, if you see the drones using the facial recognition, for example, now what is happening, they can fire a bullet, right? And it can hit that person. Now, for example, if it is a well-known person or it's a head of a country, you can think what will happen. So those are the bad effects of basically the technology advancements. But there are so many good things that is there in the advancement that is happening. One need to think through on that, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right? So that is what you have seen, that like in case of our not so friendly neighbor in the Western region, coming and dropping basically arms and ammunition, dropping basically drugs to make our younger generation not fit for the future. So to prevent that, lot of anti-drones also has been used so that they can monitor and those drone activities coming from a not friendly Western country to stop those. So with the advancement of technology, right, you need to think through how you can help and support the humanity, right? So these are basically the advancement of technology one need to think through, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, for example, I think some of you are also basically has got thinking maybe going to USA, right, to do further studies or want to do studies there. But as you know, for example, in case of USA, right, they have got basically arms is absolutely free. And you have seen in multiple schools and colleges, right, there has been basically a lot of assassination has happened. A lot of students or basically people come with guns and fire. Unfortunately, so many young, brilliant, intelligent kids have died, right, or has got injured, and that has got a lot of mental effect on them. Now think through using AI, if basically they can monitor using the facial recognition whether a person or a kid has any psychological problem. Now that kid can be basically counseled, and that can prevent those kind of events in future, isn't it? So one need to think through how we can improve our technology, and using that, how we can prevent basically unforeseen things. Similarly, if you think, if we have the picture of the terrorist, if any terrorist comes to Bangalore, right? But if you have got the facial recognition in all the major city centers and cameras are the surveillance camera, and based on that immediately if you can pick it up, what will happen? We can immediately, nearby police station, it can be immediately information can be provided. Based on that, the police can take an action, and unwanted situation can be averted. Isn't it, students?
Yes, sir.
So I want all of you to have out of box thinking. That is what I want to bring in, because what is happening today, right, may not happen in the future. What is happening in the future, past, may not happen now. You have seen there are some major events that has happened around the world, which has created basically disruption in the world. For example, in 1929, the Great Depression that happened started in USA. And afterwards, you have seen the World War II, which has created a major disruption on the world. Similarly, you have seen that around the dot-com bubbles, when it got busted, it has created major bubbles in around 2000. Then there was a Black Monday where the share market crashed like anything in 1987. Or you have seen basically some of the basically the banking failures that happened in 2008, financial crisis in 2008, which absolutely rocked the whole world. Of course, India was not affected much because India could survive. Now, in this month of March, you have seen some of the banks falling apart, right? The Silicon Valley Bank, in fact, went into bankruptcy, right? As per the Chapter 11 of the US. Now you have seen there is another bank, right? So for which they want to save it. Almost the other 11 banks has given $30 billion to save that bank. Now, why this is happening? And what is the impact? Because if the financial institutes basically falls apart, it has got a lot of implication in a lot of other industries also, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Right? So I'm just talking about in this month only, we have got the Silvergate Bank, which was basically the bank which used to cryptocurrency based currency, because you must be doing blockchain based on the distributed ledgers, right? It is one of the another area maybe some of you are interested. It went down on March 8. Then the Signature Bank went for bankruptcy, right? The Silicon Valley Bank went for bankruptcy. The First Trust Bank, for which the government now they are trying to say there's so many banks that in USA are falling apart. Whole crisis that is coming up, it can trigger kind of a basically another kind of a economical crisis around the world. But if you are not prepared, how will you manage that? So that is what the thought process I want to bring it to you. It is not basically what you learn in IT, right? You need to basically enable yourself to adapt to what is happening, the changes, the mega trend changes that is happening around the world, and how you can adapt to that. Now, students, for example, you have seen that the Russia and Ukraine war has disturbed the whole system of the food grains, because Russia and Ukraine, they themselves is to basically export more than 30% of the wheat, some of the sunflower that is used for the edible oil industry, some of the minerals, right? Fertilizer, for example, India still imports huge amount of fertilizer from Russia. Of course, India safeguarded itself. You're buying at very discounted price fertilizer and crude oil from Russia. But around the world, the prices has gone up like anything. One of the reasons for this crisis in USA, because the prices has gone up like anything there, right? And based on that, they actually increase the interest rate from 0.8 to almost 4.55. So it was, I think, almost a 40 percentile who are from finance, they would be understanding it. So what has happened? The interest rate gone up, whereas basically the long-term debts interest has not gone up. So the people wanted to basically withdraw their money and use it. And basically when they want to withdraw, the whole collapse of the banking system happened. So there are basically one system or one incident can trigger multiple other incidents, right? So if you do not understand what is happening around you, it will be very difficult for you, because in future, if you want to create basically softwares, if you want to create basically programs, if you want to do an innovation, you need to understand what is and how it's going to impact, and how it's going to basically your product will be a viable product, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Right? So that is what we are also going to discuss and going to provide, because I want to give you a vision, a path where based on that, you basically, you're all intelligent, you're all smart guys, right? You will basically think through what is the roadmap, what is basically the passion I have got inside me, right? I want to follow, and that will really help you to move forward. Okay. Now, there are three types of artificial intelligence. I think you were asking me a lot, right? So one is basically called the artificial narrow intelligence, called the ANI. That is artificial general intelligence is called the AGI, and the artificial super intelligence called the ASI. So tell me, what is the difference you know about the three? Any idea? So the ANI is basically the artificial narrow intelligence. Examples are Siri, Alexa, Sophia. So those are the basically the examples you can get. So artificial general intelligence, where refers to computer that smart and human across the board. So where basically you can take supercomputers, right? Or like Watson, to some extent, that is an example of this, and artificial super intelligence that is still in the future that people are working on it. Any questions?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay. So if you do not have any question, let's move to the next slide. So what is artificial nano intelligence, ANI? These artificial intelligence systems are designed to solve one single problem and would be able to execute a single task really well. By definition, they have narrow capabilities like recommending a product or an e-commerce user or predicting a weather, right? So that is what they can do. And what is artificial intelligence? General intelligence is defined as an AI which has a human level of cognitive function across wide variety of domains such as language processing, image processing, computation functioning, and reasoning, and so on. So that is where basically the research is going on, and you can see a lot of things are coming up. So Sophia is moving towards that, Watson is there, and so many other things that is coming up. And what is artificial superintelligence, ASI? That is an artificial superintelligence system that would be able to surpass all human capabilities. This would include decision making, taking rational decisions, and even includes things like making better art and building emotional relationship. So that is in the future. Of course, predict is that around 2040 or 2045, we will get those which basically going to have a kind of a human emotions, because as you know, the computer don't have the emotions, right? So they will basically have those kind of emotions, and that will be what is the future is looking at. Okay, so I wanted, these are the examples, right, of a strong AI and a weak AI. I'm not going to read it out, so you can tell me any questions. I hope this answers a lot of your questions.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now, coming to the advantages of AI, right? Why AI is very, very important? It reduces the human error, because as a human, we basically has got some limitations also, because as a human, if we can, after some time, we can have some errors, right? We get basically fatigue, our brain stop working, right? Or what happens? You lack concentration and you make error. And you need to sleep also, right? You cannot awake for 24/7, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
And after repetitive work, what happens? You all get bored, isn't it? I also get bored, right? So we need some changes, isn't it?
Exactly.
And it provides digital assistance, AI, and faster decisions, because for us also, we have got so many things we need to think through, right? Now, also, it helps to improve security and efficient communication. So these are some of the advantages. Of course, this is not the full list. You can provide some of your thought process. Tell me, what are the advantages of AI you think? I need some volunteers. Hello, students. What are the AI? You give me some examples.
Sir,
Yes. Yes.
by using AI, we can we can get new ideas, creativity.
Give me an example. Yes, give me an example.
Can take decisions in the absence of
No,
human.
sir, we can use in medical field to detect any if we have any diseases.
Yes, that's a very good answer, using the big data analytics, right? For example, it helps us to provide. Now, as you know, there are a lot of research that going on, right, for any medicines and this thing.
Yes,
Now,
sir.
what happens is that depending upon, for example, whether your parents, just don't take it otherwise, whether your parents has got any heart diseases or not. maybe your grandparents has got any heart disease or not, or maybe your uncle, aunties, or in your family, is there any heart disease or not, right? Now, based on certain parameters, right? You have seen Apple Watch, or basically some watch is already there. Put your instrument depending upon what are the activities you're doing, what is your heart rate. It enables you, it goes to kind of a, using IoT, it goes and able to help and predict if you have got some deficiencies, or kind of whether you're going to, what kind of medicine you need to take. It can provide you preventive medicines, right? Predictive, you're basically, these are the things that if you, for example, can cause your heart attack, or can cause, for example, diabetics patients, right? For them, they can do a continuous monitoring, and they can check what kind of basically time, or taking what kind of food, with basically the blood sugar level is going up and down. So based on that, in the medical field, right, using those analysis, it's a huge volume of data, right? And based on that, already the data lake, that is data is stored, they can provide kind of a medicine or preventive action, what the person need to do. So those are basically the advantage one need to think through, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Right. So a lot of research are going on that basis, where basically what happens using those data. Now it gets stored from millions of peoples. And as you can understand, it's a huge volume of data, right? And those are done in the cloud. That's the cloud computing. The cloud comes into effect. And of course, those data also need to be secured, right? Because those are personal data. If somebody gets into hack into those data, it will know a person's basically all the personal information also, right? Privacy will be basically, it's not correct to get all the private information. Now, that is why if you, some of you, if you work on basically some projects in UK, that's called the Europe, called the GDPR, basically govern, so that you cannot get those data outside the Europe continent. So those, some of the private data need to be stored. Similarly, around the world, there are some datas that need to be basically stored within that premise or within that organization. For example, a person working in NASA, right? So what happens, that information or this thing cannot be used outside the NASA network. Just giving an example. If you're working on Airbus industry, for example, you cannot use any other machines which is not connected to the Airbus. You cannot use a personal laptop, personal mobile to get into that data. Similarly, you have to be, there are a lot of restrictions, for example, into the IT industry also. What happens, some of those personal information, for example, in Germany, the personal employee details cannot be shared outside Germany or Europe. So whenever any Indian company working on those, so the data masking is done so that those data are masked, and then those are basically sent to India, for example, for basically testing, or you want to check that. So there are basically rules and regulations one need to follow, and based on that, they need to work on that. So one need to understand and follow those rules. And just to, though I'm just digressing, I know, but these are the things that will help you to give you a better understanding how the industry is working and where you can see a lot of opportunity. So you can see that a lot of software and technology can build in how to do the data masking, or basically how you can basically safeguard the data also. So the data security and the how basically you can secure the overall environment, that is also very, very critical, right? So tell me, any other questions you are having?
Yes, sir. Another advantage in virtual reality, the metaverse concept, we can enjoy the virtual reality by sitting in all places.
Absolutely. In fact, there is a basically study is going on, right? Where due to COVID, what happens, the student is missing the physical experience of other fellow students and also the teacher. So using this, how basically they can create a classroom effect where the students enjoy, because you also need your friends, right? That is also part of your study and experience, and the teacher. So in USA, there is an experiment, or basically is going on, how using the AR, VR, how basically they can create kind of a virtual classroom where the students are there, teachers are there, and they can actually feel the effect that to be together. So of course, yeah, that's a very good examples. Of course, the research are going on. Next is that like Indians, and especially ladies, they want to see if they want to buy a clothes like a sari or a dress material, they want to feel and touch that, how the material is that, and then they want to buy, right? So if using the internet, right, virtually, you cannot feel and touch, isn't it? So a lot of research are going on. Based on that, maybe you wearing a kind of a gloves, you will be able to feel basically the cloth, right? What kind of a cloth it is, whether it's suitable for you or not, and the texture of that. And then based on that, you can make an online order. So as you can see, there are huge amount of innovations, and there are a lot of research are going on, and which basically help the whole basically human life more congenial, right, in the going forward, so that you don't have to travel. Of course, I know going to the malls or going to the shopping is a different experience, but if you want to buy online, then if you want to have some kind of an experience of an feel and touch, so those are basically some kind of an experience you can get, and those again are all powered by basically artificial intelligence. Yes, students. So before we close today's call, I just wanted to know if any other questions you are having.
Sir, it is actually.
Yes, tell me. Hello.
Hello. It is helpful for the IT and development programming. While working on development program or any program, so we are easily find out where went wrong.
Sorry, your voice was breaking. Can you please repeat? Hello.
While working on IT field or a development program, or while doing any programming in IT field. Hello?
Yes. I'm listening. Any program in IT field? Yes, tell me.
Yeah, we can find out where we went wrong, and by
Yes,
using.
yes, there are debugs, and there are basically softwares for that, right? Where
Yeah,
basically
we can easily find out the errors where we went wrong by using the advantage of AI.
yes, absolutely. That is another good example. Yes, using that, you can basically the code modification automatically. Some of them can be done. For example, the upgrades are done, right? When upgrades are done from one system, what are the things using some of the already the tools that are available in the market or the programs, right? You can basically some of the low-hanging things automatically it can be done. The code rectifications or modification can be done, so that you don't have to do it manually, and it will faster the whole basically upgrades or basically the patch that is done. And also it can provide your predictive, right? For example, in the system that is due to you can have a continuous monitoring, right? And using the monitoring, it can also provide where basically you think some kind of a patch upgrade need to be done, whereas there is a issues, and those automatically can be detected. And also using the AI, those also the patch update can be done automatically without any human touch. And that is what we call in the application management area zero human touch technology, right? So that is what is going to is the what in the industry is adopting.
Thank you.
Great. So thank you, everybody. So again, we will meet tomorrow at the same time, and have a nice Saturday. Bye, everybody.
Bye, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Nice meeting you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.